Welcome to the Encouragement Engineering Podcast. We help people to combat the negativity that inundates our daily lives with a positive perspective and positive action. Today's guest is Charlene Norman. Charlene is a Chief Empathy Officer and Truth Teller with a dexterity of the ultimate trifecta: change, business success, and personal transformation. She uses her 360-degree view of business, adds in decades of leading companies through ever-changing dynamics, and harnesses her ability to make people and processes more effective. Then, by wrapping those power skills with a deep understanding of engaging the power of the human brain, she is steadfast in guiding business owners committed to their hopes and dreams of growing big and leaving a lasting legacy. Charlene has always believed in breaking the past barriers and is part of the new frontier, pushing the boundaries for the future. And she knows three things. I'm sure she knows a lot more, and we'll get into that. But three things she does know is that business is not nearly as complicated as it seems. Making money and making an impact on the world are one and the same. In business, all businesses start and end with people. So please welcome to the show, Charlene Norman. Charlene, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure, Bob.
Well, thank you. And so we can have people understand who you are. Tell us how you got to where you are today. I always find that interesting. People's, a little bit of their backstory, how they got to where they are.
When I was 20, I had a fantasy. I mean, how many of us have fantasies when we're 20? But here was my fantasy. I wanted to win $25 million lottery, and I was going to take $2 million of that and put it into a pension plan, and then for myself, and then $23 million, I was going to dole out in little bits and pieces to business owners who needed money. And the caveat, if you will, the small print was it would be at a very nominal interest rate, the most amazing flexible payment terms, but you had to have me as an advisor on your board. Now, okay, so I don't know about you, but I know nobody at 20 years old who is qualified to advise anybody about anything.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're going to win the lottery, you have to buy tickets, and I never bought tickets. So
yeah, there's a catch there.
There's a catch there. So my incredible fantasy was a great idea, but it didn't stand a snowball's chance, and you know what? Okay, so fast forward 30 years, and if I look at my entire world and all my career experience and blah, 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 the only thing I actually did was go out and get the experience necessary. I was one of those lucky ones. I worked my buns off, but it always seemed I was at the right place at the right time. So behind me, I've got oodles and oodles of experience that very few other people have. And I've found myself in a situation where, gee, there is no problem that I have ever met that couldn't be solved. So about 6 years ago, I changed direction on how I wanted to help the world. And so I had a track record of making millionaires wherever I went. It didn't matter whether I worked in a company or I had my own business. The one thing going for me, if you want to call it that, is I made millionaires left, right, and center. And about 6 years ago, I said, okay, well, that's great. And sure, you can help, but money isn't everything. And the one thing that I had noticed was that the more money that people got, the more miserable they were.
Right.
And I no longer felt good about helping people make money just for the sense of, gosh, another boat, another airplane, another this, another that, and all the material things. And I said, I'm going to make a change, and I'm now going to only help those people who want to make an impact in the world, might be a little light on their feet in all the business areas. I will still work my buns off to make you that millionaire that you want to be, but you're going to take all the money that you make and you're not going to keep it for yourself. You're going to plow it back into the community. So that's the business side of how I got here.
Okay. Interesting. And that's a good piece to help people to realize, especially when they get at that caliber. You got to help those that are up and coming, and help that community, help those people that see you as they only see the tip of the iceberg. You may have been doing this for 30, 40 years, but give that back to the, like you said, the community, the people, so that people can grow, so people can have some of the advantages of your giving. with your success. That's a great concept for people.
We all stand, well, none of us, I don't believe, none of us stands by ourselves.
Right.
We all stand on the backs of giants who went ahead of us. And I was fortunate. I got to work with some really smart international presidents who, for whatever reason, showed me all the way that their brains work, how to think, how to focus in on what, and I sat right beside them, and then I got my own stuff to play with, and it was like, wow, this is pretty easy, actually. You get out of your own ego, and do it for the right reasons, and give back wherever you can. I just felt that all the lessons that I learned, yes, I write books, yes, I write till the cows come home, but I thought, if I can teach people and leave that as part of my legacy, what others taught me, I think that's the best gift that I can give the world.
Yeah, knowledge is an extreme value that people seem to downplay sometimes. And that's, like you said, the years of experience and the knowledge you gain from that, it's priceless. And you see that a lot in organizations where it will just walk out the door and they don't groom that next generation or the people on the bench, if you will, for that. It's interesting because you talk about success paths too. Now, what does that mean on a personal level as well as a business level
then? Success is joy and happiness. It wasn't that way when I started. I'll be honest with you. When I was younger, I was out to set the world on fire, prove that I had just as much going for me as anyone else. But there was one thing different that I did, and I didn't realize it at the time, which was bring everyone along with me. So I spent a lot of time in my 20s bitching and complaining to people, saying, you shouldn't be treating people like that. You should be communicating this way. We've got to work as a team. I didn't know what I was talking about, but that idea stuck with me forever. So if you ask me what my idea of success is, it's joy and happiness in everything that you do. And it's doing what you were put on earth to do. And sometimes that takes a while to find.
Right.
And also we have to go through some really awful lessons in life to get to that point where you go, whack, okay, I've been hit across the side of the head enough times. I'm finally ready to pay attention. Success in business to me is, I've always been people first, profit second. It's not that I don't believe in profits. I believe in making lots of money, but I believe that people come first. And you have the benefit of those people helping you to make money. So you have the obligation to share that money in your community any way you want, as long as it's not for you. That to me is business success. To have developed stuff, had the excess and given the excess. You don't have to give it away, all of it, but give a good chunk of it back to the community. That to me is success.
Right. Well, today with COVID, I find it interesting too, because it seems like businesses are refocusing towards the people. Do you see that?
I do in some areas, and in other areas, I just shake my head and go, oh my God, please get with the program. Right. I really like the three things of, what is it? It's purpose, planet, profit, or planet, people, purpose. Either one of those,
Gotcha.
Either of those combinations, a lot of companies are embracing. What I particularly like about that is that the purpose is not about to be the best. It's not about to be the most chronically inspired or the best customer service, because that's all garbage. What the purpose is to make some kind of a major transformation in somebody's life. So some of the pharma companies are to save lives, if you will, right. Or to make the world a better place, or whatever. There's a lot of organizations I see that are trying to make the world a better place. But if the focus is not first on people, if the focus is not on growing the people side of your business, you're basically going to fail. So I'm now looking at, okay, what is your purpose? Are you looking after the planet in some way? It doesn't have to be big, but in some way. And what are you doing for your people?
Right. And that's a good, good source of business, if you will, of concept or ideology of business, because those are the people that are running it. It always amazes me when you go into a business and they say, oh, well, that's just the security guard. What? I'm sorry, but that's the front person that sees your company. That's the forefront of your company. The receptionist, the security guard, whoever it may be, that first person a person encounters is critical. And, that's part of that idea that the people are all important.
I learned over time, I didn't learn this right away, but I did learn over time that this whole idea of people being your assets, our most valuable assets, they're our best this, our best that. That has to be the biggest piece of poppycock that I've ever heard in my entire life. I believe people are your equity. And I totally guess there's a lot of business owners listening that probably are saying, it's my ass on the line. I've signed away everything. The loans are all in mine and it's all mine. And yeah, okay, the financial risk is yours. But you won't get very far without a piece of equity in your business working every single day to give you what you want. And that equity is your people. And I've gotten a lot of pushback over the years when people say to me, oh, well, you're so wrong. And then we get into a very deep conversation and it's hilarious. When then finally the light bulb goes on and yeah, I am nothing. And exactly as you just said, the receptionist, the security guard, the gatekeeper, the whatever, you know what? Everybody has worth. Every human being came here with some amazing gift, some amazing ability, and the smart leaders of today, the smart business people of today are figuring out that their only job is to tap into that. Because once you tap into that, those people will take your company to the moon and back.
Yeah. And I find it interesting too, because I understand you are an accountant. And so you understand the numbers. And I can see that line that says equity on the balance sheet, and I could just picture that. And it's interesting because that was my degree in school, was a business degree with a discipline in accounting. So I'm very familiar with the numbers, and numbers don't lie. They are what they are. They tell the story. How do you translate that for people that may not understand the numbers that well, or don't understand that value? So that they understand the value of that business. Like you said, that equity position, it is a line item, on the balance sheet.
So first off, I fell into accounting. It was not my thing. And there's a million people that can actually add numbers in their head. I need a calculator at all times. How did I? Okay, so in the way back in my history of getting experience and everything else, I have led 60 acquisitions, 10 dispositions, wow. 35 profit improvements, 25 continuous improvements, and I even led a bankruptcy. So I come to you saying, people are the foundation of every single business. When you get people right, you get everything right. And so now how do I translate that into equity? So from my acquisition days, and I've sat on both sides, I've done the buying and the selling. Every person who either wants to sell their business or anybody who wants to buy a business, one of the first things I would say, well, how many years of experience and what's your management team, and give me some poop. But they don't take it farther than that. They just want to know how many degrees, what's the education, how many years, and whether you like the person or not. I've seen that far too many times. If you go and you interview those people, now you get a sense of what do they actually know. And if you structure your interviews properly, those people will tell you things that are not in the numbers piece. Those people will tell you who gets along, who doesn't get along. What do they see as the biggest opportunity? What do they see as the worst opportunity? or the worst threat. What would they do differently? And when you listen to those conversations now, I go back to, that's where the gold is in. The owner wants to sell because he or she wants to get the money out of the business. They've spent their time toiling in that. Now it's time to pass it on or get out or do whatever. Honestly, they've probably had 10, 20, or 30 years in the business. And if people managing or looking after, you don't manage people, you manage projects. If leading those people was not part of their psyche, they won't get a high return. But if leading those people was in their psyche, here's what happens. Those people, all those people that are left, that are deemed valuable, will get staying bonuses. They're because their knowledge is wanted for at least 1 year, and if you're lucky, 5 years.
Right.
The depth of your management team will be reflected in the purchase price. Everyone wants to talk about, I got a multiple of this, or I got an EBITDA of this, or sometimes, or 8 times, or what's more important is how much are you getting extra because of the strength of your people. And it's not just your management team, it's also your people. Are they new? Are they churning all the time? Are they happy? Are they, what kind of profits do they generate? Because the owner doesn't generate profits.
Right.
The owner grows and leads and grows the people. It's the people that generate the profits. There's a distinction I'm trying to make here, and I've just seen it too many times that it's, sure, get caught up in the numbers, and that's fine. That's good. That's the starting point.
Yeah.
You want to know, dig deeper.
And that's a good point. The interview and the people you bring in, that brings into the play the HR factor. How are you hiring quality people? And what are those people going to do for your organization? Are they going to grow it? Are they, like you said, the longevity? You want to see where there's less turnover. That's a great example, because people are then satisfied. They're diligent working, and they appreciate maybe the environment. They know the value of the long-term effects of staying there. Those are all key things, like you said, you don't see on a balance sheet. So,
you do not see those ever. And in fact, I think one of the things that frustrates me actually is we have to get past 40 before we start to understand that what we learned in school, wasn't necessarily what we should have learned.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the be all and the end all. And the fact that we're master technologists or master accountants or master salespeople, that doesn't mean anything. What actually means more is, it's this new term called emotional intelligence, which, okay, fine. Are you a decent person? Do you care about the other person? Have you got the other person's back, or are you wanting everyone to have your back?
Yeah, the back to the basics of
kindergarten
and school. Yeah.
Back to the basics before we lost them. Yes.
Yes. And do unto others as you have done unto you. How
the
about
golden
that?
rule.
Yeah,
Gee,
exactly.
How about that?
Yes. You don't get that in school. You definitely don't get it in a high school. So, we need to bring that back into our lives. So thank you for reminding us.
I'm honestly, I'm not here trying to say, look, study the Bible or study the religion of your choice. It's not that. It's about human decency.
Right.
All humans are decent. And getting back to people, one of the other things that used to drive me nuts, you hear a lot of people saying, well, that person's incompetent. Well, they're wrong and it's bad, and how they ever got promoted is just beyond me. And they're just, so I have to tell you that I have never met an incompetent person in my life. Not once, not ever. Now, I have met some really annoyed people. I have met some people with chips on their shoulder. I have met people in the wrong job. I have also met people who have horrible things happening in their life, and it's kind of taken their attention off the ball. But I have never, not once, I promise, ever met an incompetent person. And I have never, not once, met anyone who says, when they get up in the morning, I'm out to get that person.
Yeah.
We don't think that way.
No. No.
And if we don't think that way, why do we think that other people think that way?
Good question. It's insecurity or something. I'm not sure, but I always, when I talk to people, I remind them, we all bleed red. It doesn't matter the color of our skin. We all want safety for our family. We all want to be, fed, nurtured. It gets down to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? I mean, it's, we're not that different.
Oh, we're not that. Sorry,
Yeah. Well, you talk about another concept too with some of the things you do, the 5 M's. Can you tell us briefly about those? I thought that was interesting for people to understand.
So this goes along with my thing that business is actually not complicated. Man makes it complicated, but it's not complicated. And it's also something that I did for myself because when I was in corporate world, I was perfect, right? We're all perfect in our corporate world. And when I went out onto my own, I made every single mistake under the sun, every single mistake. And that was very strange for me because how can that happen? So one day I sat down and I said, okay, what is the piece that you're missing? And the piece that I was missing was I fell into the trap that every single other business owner falls into, which is I have this great idea. I just need to go get this one course, or I just need to go do this one thing. And very quickly, it becomes oh my God, I've got to do all this and I've got to do it all myself. And I hate it. And what you started with that gave you joy kind of got mushed into, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? And then we got the Martyrdom Syndrome. And I've been there, done that. So I sat down and I said, okay, what is it you really need to know? And I marked it out and I went, oh, smack this out of my head. Why didn't they ever teach me this? Why didn't? Because I knew this. Why didn't I remember? And so I just want to say I'm as dumb as everyone else at times. And I came up with what I call the 5 M's, which is the foundation of every successful business, bar none. Does not matter about industry, does not matter about age, does not matter about size. Every business has 5 pillars. The only thing that changes is where they are in their path or their journey. One pillar may take priority over another for a little bit of time.
Right.
So the 5 M's are mindset, messaging, must-haves, marketing, and momentum. So if you want to start your own business, or you want to buy a business, or you want to go from corporate into consulting and whatever it is, the 4 inches between your ears is the most important piece that you've got going. And it's really important to exercise that muscle and make it very, very strong. What I mean by that is you are going to be living a roller coaster ride if you're not careful. And the emotions, the highs and the lows, they're going to be very difficult. If you like to pay attention on social media, you will get caught up on all the success stories that you read, which I think most of them are bunk. There are a few that are successful, but very, very few. And most people lie on social media because social media is supposed to make us all look fantastic. What you need to do is and I used to think this was garbage. I'll be the first to admit it. Mindset, man, there's nobody stronger than me. I'm pretty strong. I can do it all. Yes, you can, except when you're stuck in your own room with your own 4 walls, or you're stuck with a little tiny staff instead of the big staff that you used to have, or you get caught with the life in your personal life is bleeding into your business life, and suddenly the bills are all due, you got no money, and you're going, oh my God. That's when the gremlins kind of jump in. And they can really mess with your head. And the only thing I can say to you is if you got a messed up head, you're going to have a messed up business.
It's a good thing you mentioned that roller coaster, because that makes it, if you will, riding a roller coaster, you can feel your stomach going up and down, your head getting dizzy and all that. And that's what business will do. I mean, there's, like you said, there's all kinds of things you think you know that blindside you. All of a sudden, wait, you got to pay higher rate of taxes. Wait, you got to have this license, or you got to apply for this type of thing within city limits. There's all kinds of things that you may not have, found out or didn't look into or forgot to. And interesting that you bring that basis as pillars, if you will, so that you have that sound structure of a business and for your own sanity.
And I think the other thing I'll say is that mindset is not expensive. The one good thing about Google today is you can just type in some stuff, you can find it. If you've got the time to search, you can find some really, really, really good resources on Google for nothing, or you can spend $500 for a year's subscription to mindvalley.com. They're not paying me. I have no affiliate link, but I have used their programs. And that's one of the best ways that I know to solidify and strengthen your mindset, at least for the first 10 years or so. The other thing I'll say is when you start hiring staff, on whether you've got 10 people, whether you've got 100 people, there's a whole different mindset shift that goes with that too. Maybe I scared you a little bit when I said I think people are your equity. Okay, so that's a little bit of a jump you might have to take, but also everyone wants to be a nice person. And when you have staff, no matter what the size, there's a balancing act that you need to make in your own head about being the nice guy or girl, but also being firm in what you want. And that's a real balancing act for a lot of people. And it's a skill set not everybody has. We don't have to all have, there are other alternatives. So that's all I'm going to say about mindset. Messaging. Now this is where, oh man, I get a little bit annoyed with anybody who immediately wants to sell me anything because their stuff's the biggest, the best, the cheapest. They don't even know me. They don't know what I'm about, but they're going to sell me. And they're always hustling. And I know I'm not alone. I mean, there's a lot of us that we just, oh, for goodness sakes, can we get to know you first? Oh, relationship building. Well, that takes forever. So I'll just give you my spiel. I got my 60-second elevator pitch and you're just going to buy from me, right? Well, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
What you want to do in your messaging, so human beings buy on emotion, and human beings love to buy. Two facts we always have to remember. We love to buy, and we always buy on emotion. Secondly, humans justify everything by logic, and humans hate to be sold to. So within that, what do? You craft a message that is both emotional, so it appeals to my heart, and a little bit logical, so my brain goes, ding, 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 that makes a complete sense, and I'm going to go get that. Now, how do you do that? If you want to do emotional, what you want to do is focus on what am I going to get from this? How is my life going to be better? If you want to focus on the logical side, then focus on what you're delivering. Are you delivering peace of mind? Are you delivering time savers? Those are the logical bits that we will then, as consumers, either B2B or B2C, kind of flip in and say, yeah, that makes sense. No, it doesn't. Every audience that you have requires a slightly different message. So you want to get comfortable saying your stuff in a couple of seconds to a couple of minutes to, if you really want to bore the pants off of everybody, go for 15 or 20 minutes. But you really, your message is key. It's your business card that we used to say, here, this is me and my little sign, and you're the first piece. Does that make sense?
Definitely. I appreciate that, because so many times you'll get that, like you said, somebody will just be trying to sell you something, and it's like, you don't even know what I do. So yeah, definitely, that's a big plus for that one. Great.
Yeah, the next M is what I call the must-haves, and I just give a very, very simple example. In the old days, in the horse and buggy days, you could make yourself a little steel sign, put it out in the front of your property, you were in business. Just had to buy a sign. That was it. You could do everything yourself. Then the world went kind of a little fast. About 30 years ago, the internet came and the whole world kind of blew up. Technology is the foundation of every single business now. So whether you like it or not, you're going to have to buy a computer, and it bloody well better be supersonic fast. And the programs bloody well better be supersonic fast, because nobody wants to wait for you. That's the big thing that COVID taught us, is speed is everything. And here's the thing about playing on the internet. There's a bunch of really shady characters out there. Of course, there's shady characters all over. There were shady characters in the gold rush days, but there's shady characters on the internet. And what you want to do is you want to protect yourself from those shady characters. So you got to spend more money. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but you got to spend money to make sure that your systems are impenetrable, that no one can get in. It's not about what they're going to do with your data. They're going to screw you left, right, and center. If in the worst case scenario, you want to protect yourself so that they can't get in. But furthermore, what you also want to do is to educate all the people that work for you what their responsibility is, because data, what you have in intellectual property, what you have in all your business secrets, that's the only thing you have going for you. So you want to protect it. So the must-haves, spend the money. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in cybersecurity either. I think it's the most boring thing on the planet. But I don't feel that way when my computer goes down, or someone attacks me, or they try to get in and they can't, and I go, whoa, right on. You just keep on trying. The bigger your company, the more protection you're going to need. That's just the way it is. And I'm sorry, I really have to emphasize the speed thing. If somebody waits longer than 3 seconds for anything, they're out. They're gone now. So one tip I'll give everybody is to go through your systems and processes, not just your computer processes, but your actual business processes. It doesn't even have to cost you any money. Engage a friend and have that friend pretend that they're a customer, buy something, and then try and return it, or try and lodge a complaint, or anything that is against your system. Because what you're trying to do is how fast can that issue be resolved? Can it be resolved in a reasonable amount of time? Do you send them off into voicemail hell? Do you send them off into chatbot land? Or do you have a real human being that can jump in? That's your best way. It does not have to cost you a lot of money. If that process is not simple, guess what? You're going to lose customers out the back end of your funnel. You're bringing all in one way, they're going out this way. So that's my 2 things on your must-haves. That's regardless of any business. Any size business. Marketing is the 4th M. So there's a lot of, oh man, if we listen to everything, we'd all have to be digital. Yeah, sure. And if we listen to everything completely, we'd all have to be on Instagram or Clubhouse or WhatsApp or whatever. Then you hear, well, I'm going off of Facebook and I'm off of this and I'm going back to the magazines, but oh my God, the magazines they're not in business. What do I do? And I always say, your marketing is only getting your message out to the people that need to hear it. So go to whoever your customers are, go to where they are. If they're not on Instagram, don't go to Instagram. If they're not on Facebook, don't go to Facebook. If they don't read, well, I guess you're not going to be doing, but I can't imagine nobody reading. My point is, it is not nearly as complicated as everyone likes to tell us. And if you don't feel comfortable doing ads, don't do ads. Do what fits with the purpose and the vision that you have for your organization. You don't have to be everywhere. We can't be everyone's slave. So be a slave to the ones who are going to pay you the most money, or have the best accounts, or make your life the most joyful. I find that marketing is often one of those shiny things.
Yes. Yeah. Look,
I can get you, I can show you how to get more customers paying more money. I can show you how to do this. And you know what? Most of it is garbage. How do I know? Because I've wasted $70,000 of my own money experimenting, going, I have the answers inside of me. Everybody has the answers inside of us. We don't need to be wasting money on useless stuff. There's some good stuff, but with the 5 pillars, you figure out, oh, that goes in there. I don't need that right now. That goes in there. I don't need that right now. And I'll talk about one other shiny object that drives me up a wall. It's the 5th M, momentum. Momentum is all about growing your sales line, keeping the money coming in. And if you pay attention to what everyone seems to like, well, it's all funnels and lead gens, and you've got to have all of this stuff. You've got to have this piece of software and this piece of software and this. And I'm going to say, no, you don't. You do not have to have it. And just because someone's promising you that they got it 10 times their business does not mean it's going to work for you.
Right.
What you need is a system, and it depends on where you are in your business, that you've got somebody, not a bot, but a real life person going out and communicating and offering to help someone. That's all it is. You may want to have a tracking system, which can be done in the early days with an Excel spreadsheet. You don't need a whole pile of complicated stuff, right? As you get bigger, yes, there are some absolutely awesome software pieces out there. They're very expensive. Like, we're talking a couple grand a month. I saw one that was $15,000 a month, and I went, oh my God, I really want that. But okay, that's not where I am right now, and I don't need that right. Too many businesses are getting caught up in spending money that they don't have on stuff that they don't need right away.
Right.
So what I learned, when I figured out that this were my 5 M's, and I said, okay, where do I spend the money? So mindset is pretty cheap. Marketing. One thing a lot of people forget is to do joint ventures, partnerships, and swapping of services. So you can get away, if you know a marketing person and you have an amazing something or other, you can swap services.
Right.
Big companies do this. So that means little companies can do this. So the marketing piece may or may not be, if you don't have a friend, figure on maybe a few grand, that's it. On your must-haves, don't skimp on your must-haves. Get a decent system. Do not skimp on this. I just cannot. That's where your money's going to go. Marketing itself. Messaging was the first one. You can get someone to help you with the messaging. Marketing. So a lot of us don't have joy in posting on social media. Don't post on social media. Do what brings you joy. Your marketing piece should not be expensive in the early days. Just do the bits that you're happy with. If you're not happy with them, find another way. As time goes on, you will start to bring on communications people. You will start to bring on PR people. You will start to bring on chief marketing officers. Everything is fractional these days. You can get a fractional anything until you get big enough and have enough cash flow to go for the bigger ticket items. Where you want to spend some money, and it's not money, it's time. It's all time, is in your momentum. Because honestly, if your business does not have sales, you have a hobby business, you don't have a business. So if you're going to spend any money after you have paid off stuff on your must-haves, put it into your momentum. Look at getting clever there. But you can't be effective there if you don't have your messaging nailed down. When I finally figured this out and I put it all together, I went, wow, now I know when I see things, you got to buy this. I say, okay, where does that fit? Does that fit in this pillar, this pillar, this pillar, this pillar? Is that pillar important to me this year? Yes. Okay, I'll look at it. If it's not, sorry, it's off. It's the easiest way to make a decision of what crosses your desk. Should I do it or not?
Great.
Does that make sense?
That definitely makes some sense. And I just want to let people know, because we're running low on time. For more information, Charlene, where can people find out, your website, more about what you're doing? Because I mean, this is some great information, and they can check out this more on what you do. If you can, share your website and, some of your social media handles so people can get a hold of you, because this is critical information. This is great.
So thank you. My website is www.bulletproofyourbusinessnow.com. And I play on LinkedIn. I only play on LinkedIn. You can catch me on LinkedIn every single day. And I have a reputation of very quickly answering if you reach out to me there.
Yes, I realize that. And that's great, because you don't necessarily get a quick response all the time with people. So I appreciate that. And we'll definitely put all that in the show notes. Charlene, I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for being a guest on the Encouragement Engineering podcast, because this is some great information that I think people just need to be, like you said, ease into that idea that business doesn't have to be complicated. And you've done a great job explaining that to us. So thank you today for doing that.
Thank you, Bob. It's been my pleasure.
Well, thank you. And you have a great day.